Good morning. My name is Gary Fehr. I'm a Nebraska State SARE Coordinator and Extension Educator with Nebraska Extension. Today we're talking to Gary Fehr from Green School Farm, and we're out near West Van Dorn Street, west of Lincoln. He's going to tell us about his operation. Gary took the Farm Beginnings program several years ago, and just kind of want to find out from Gary what he's doing out here west of Lincoln on his farm. Go ahead, Gary. Just explain kind of what you're doing here and what you're trying to do as far as supporting the local food movement.
Sure. So yeah, a couple years ago I took the Farm Beginnings course, and that helped me to kind of get my bearings straight. I also did an internship with an organic farm near Lincoln, and so I don't come from an agricultural background, a lot of relatives and family and farming and stuff, but I myself grew up in town. So, but I developed an growing interest in local food, organic food sustainable agriculture over the last several years, and finally decided I wanted to make a career transition into this. So we'll see. I'm going to give it a shot, and I've been at this a couple years now, learned a lot. We had a small CSA last year that was great to teach me, just how to get going and get some experience growing and producing for customers instead of just our own kitchen. We've always gardened for years and years, but of course it's much different when you take it to scale and do it, on a field level type of basis. But yeah, so this year some family illness prevented us from doing the CSA, but instead I planted out here and we focused on building our relationships with schools. That's another interest of mine, is farm to school, and I think it's important to teach kids that where their food comes from and the importance of the methods used to produce it. Agriculture is huge in Nebraska, and yet a lot of our food is shipped in from other places, and a lot of us around here think that we can do it differently than that and create a lot more economic opportunity in the process. And so those are some of the reasons that drive what I do. I don't have any illusions of getting rich at this, and that's not what I do. That's not why I do this, and I don't think that's why many people do this. But
where do you sell, or what are some of the crops you raise, I should ask
right,
you?
so the crops that we raise pretty much all your common market vegetables, some herbs, but in the spring we do all the standard radishes, lettuce, spinach, those types of things, and then in the summer and fall you've got all your warm season things like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, all kinds of peppers, different brassicas, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, things like that. And then some other things too. We had good luck with watermelon this year. I was really happy about that. We had some pumpkins that turned out nice, and some winter squash. So it's really all the things that you would expect to find at a farmer's market. We throw in a little few extra things that aren't so common now and then. So like right now we've got Asian greens going, and we've got some tatsoi. Trying to get better at growing celery and celeriac, just some uncommon things like that. So just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks like you've been doing some experimenting here with different methods of weed control and
Right. So we're not certified organic. I definitely want to get there as quickly as possible. And this place where we're at right now is I'm renting this land, but we've bought a small farm near Raymond this summer, and so I'm going to be developing that next year as well. I'll probably stay here because of the work I've put into amending the soil. But anyway, it's all using sustainable practices, organic practices. So we do things for fertility. Since we're not using chemicals, we use things like manure. We till manure into the soil. We use compost, mulching, things like that. Mulching also helps with weed control and retaining moisture.
Cover crops?
Cover crops, yep. We planted this spring. We had out here. We had a rye vetch cover crop, and the rye provides a scaffolding for the vetch to climb on. The vetch is a legume, so of course that's fixing nitrogen into the soil. And then we're also using natural fertilizer components like blood meal and bone meal, which are derived by animal byproducts. So those are not synthetic, they're naturally derived. And so we use some of that as well. We do all of our own plant starts, and well, let's see. So that's for fertility. For weed control, we either use hand weeding, lots of hand weeding. We use flame weeder for weed control. We also use, like I mentioned, we use mulch, and those are all have their pros and cons. And then for pest control is trickier. We've tried some companion planting, plants that are supposed to deter pests from other types of cash crops.
Yeah, I saw you had some marigolds planted.
Yeah, I've got marigolds, got borage. They all have their different uses. Success or not, it's too early to tell. I'm too new at this, and so but the biggest, by far the biggest one this year was grasshoppers, like everybody around here, and grasshoppers just started chewing things up, and so really what it came down to was observing what they chewed up and what they didn't. And so, for example, cucumbers they left alone. So cucumbers are something you can plant without grasshopper pressure. Okra, they didn't touch the okra. The muskmelon, they pretty much left that alone. So those are the kinds of things, just a lot of observing, finding out what works and what doesn't. I love this idea of agriculture that's working with Mother Nature instead of against it, by trying to force your way in and by brute force and chemical strength try and produce crops. I would like to see if we can't do it a better, more natural, holistic way.
So one more question: when you don't market to schools, what are some of the other places you sell your
produce? So our primary sales channels are schools, CSA. We're going to do a CSA again next year, and then we sell through distributors, and the biggest two being Lone Tree Foods and Nebraska Food Co-op, and both of those are basically distributor, homegrown Nebraska companies that have grown up, organized by farmers to provide a means of distribution for their products and a market for their products. So both of those have websites. The customers can go online, order what they want to, and then delivery routes will come, pick up the product and deliver to the customer. So that's a channel as well. I would love to be able to do farmers market. My own, since I'm still working a day job, my time is really limited, and felt that I couldn't afford the time this year to take one whole weekend day essentially and use it at a farmers market. But I would love to be able to get there in the future. So.
Well, Gary, I sure appreciate taking time out from your schedule and trying to learn more about you. I'm going to put this information, this interview out on the blog, Sarman's Ag News, that we've had a few other farmers, and he just one of several we hope to highlight in the weeks and months to come, because we appreciate what you're doing with local food, and hopefully we wish you best of luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.